Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Breakfast Club of New Jersey. And want to welcome you. So as I mentioned, our fearless leader and director, Frank Kovacs, is not able to join us today. We are covering, Jerry and I are covering for him today. And want to welcome you to the Breakfast Club NJ. We have a terrific program this morning with one of our renowned presenters in the area, Marty Latman. I'll introduce him, or Jerry will introduce him shortly. But do want to remind you that the Breakfast Club of New Jersey is here for anyone who's in a career transition. We certainly do offer lots of resources for anyone who's in a job search. First and foremost, of course, is our website, The Breakfast Club NJ, thebreakfastclubnj.com. So feel free, go take a look at it. And we always have lots of information. One thing that becomes handy, of course, in the About Us tab, the menu at the top, there's a link called Speakers, and that's our speaker calendar for the year. And actually, it's our whole history as well. The organization's history for many years. You can see who's been a presenter for the last 10, 12 years or so. So you can see there's been a lot of attention and support from the speaker community. And if you're not yet officially a member of the Breakfast Club, what's nice is you can do so also, well, right after the meeting, right on the home page, there's a link on the right side called Join the Breakfast Club Today. And so I would encourage you to enjoy join the Breakfast Club later this morning. Don't interrupt or let it block you from the presentation in the meeting today. And so when you click on that, you will have the opportunity to join the Breakfast Club. There's just a little bit of information. The instructions are there, a little bit of information that we ask that you provide, which is basically your name, your contact information, and also who referred you. And so that becomes a little important as well. And if you don't know anyone as a referral, feel free to use my name, Jerry's name, anyone that you've just kind of met here. Just looking at the list, looks like we've all been here before, so I think I'm sure we are all members right now, but if not, go join, and that makes sure it gets you into our groups.io, which we use so we can communicate among each other nicely, access to our LinkedIn and other social media as well. Adrienne manages that for the group, and we're very appreciative of the time that she puts in. There's Adrienne, smiling and waving. And yep. And so it's a good way to stay connected. And Frank does encourage us, of course, to stay active, stay connected. Maybe when you post the very first time, you put a little bit of a elevator pitch. Hello, my name is, and this is what I'm doing, because of the thousands of people that are members in these social media sites for the Breakfast Club. You never know who's going to read it and be of interest, and you may pique somebody else's interest and they'll want to reach out to you. Of course, if you have information to share to others, do so as well. But as Frank likes to remind us, make sure you use it really for our purpose, the purpose of the Breakfast Club, and also of helping job seekers. Don't use it for personal reasons like selling a boat. And Frank continues to remind us, don't use it to sell a boat. So I think if you'd like to buy a boat, call Frank. He must have a boat that he's trying to sell and just can't get it sold on the Breakfast Club's groups.io. I actually don't know if Frank has a boat or not, but if he does, maybe I'll at least take you for a ride if he's not willing to sell the boat. So we do have a wonderful program today, and I'm so glad that Marty Latman is back to join and present to the group. And so with that, to get us moving forward, I'm very happy to introduce Jerry Payton. Jerry and I are on what we call the speaker committee, and so we do our best to find speakers. I think we're going to make it easy going forward. We may just ask Marty to come each month. I think it is. He's got at least 12 presentations, and that just makes our job a little easier, Jerry. But in the meantime, just, of course, introduce Marty for this morning.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. We have a great presentation for you today. Let me introduce today's speaker. Marty is called by many people the best networker they know. He is a people helper and a matchmaker. Marty also provides mentoring and career coaching services to professionals. He teaches, trains, advises, and supports professionals in many industries and at all levels in the techniques they need to elevate their careers to a higher level. He also is the co-chairman of the Financial Executive Networking Group, FANG, and their resident coaching expert. I'd now like to introduce Marty.
Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. It's really nice looking out here on the screen and seeing so many familiar faces. It's always good to get together. We could really all have breakfast here this morning and just have a good time. Just wanted to point out a couple things. If you have some questions during the presentation, just shout it out. We'll take it from there. It's probably the easiest. If you want, Deb, you're going to be publishing this presentation on your website, right? Okay, so we have all that, and hopefully we will not have any technical problems. And let's start it and see what happens, everybody. Hang on. Does everybody see the screen? That's number one. I take it that the answer is yes.
Yes, we see the screen in the PowerPoint Designer. You haven't started the presentation just yet.
Okay, let's go over here. Let me just minimize that. Whoops. Okay.
At the top, you can use the slideshow menu.
Yeah, I got it.
There it is. And it's from the beginning on the left.
Okay, here we go.
They're full screen. There it is. Yep.
We got a full screen, everybody. And let's talk about, networking and using it throughout your life as we go through this. I just wanted to go over a bunch of things that we'll just discuss during this time. And I'll give you my philosophy because I think that frameworks where we are going with this. I'll talk about what is networking. We use the word, really loosely over the years, but let's just really, hone in on what really networking is about. Talk about building relationships. Who are the relationships we have? The types of relationships we want to build, and how do we build it, which is really key for your success in the future, really, as I look at it. Where can we develop these relationships? And how do we approach these people? Okay, that's really important to get to know what I call the people of interest. And we'll talk a bit about the elevator pitch and how you could use it to build relationships and really what the elevator pitch is all about. We'll talk about one of the things that I consider is the most important part of networking and for the, today and for the future is how do you maintain these relationships? It always happens that people start building relationships when they're in transition, and as soon as they land, their head gets buried in the sand and the relationships really dissipate at that time. And we'll talk about how your relationships could help you today and in the future. And how do you get these introductions to different relationships? And finally, we'll just wrap it up and summarize where we are, what we've talked about. So this is what we'll discuss about next hour. Okay, hopefully buckle your seatbelt. Let's have some fun. Let's go through this. And my philosophy, and a lot of you know it, I'm generally known for a couple things. Number one, my feeling is that being in transition today is really your permanent job. It's landing that's temporary. If one will look at your career history, generally you'll see you have worked for several employers during your career. And in doing it, I'm sure that when you started with the company, you felt you're going to be here forever. And then things change over time. And really what it is, the employers that you are working at right now are the temporary stops along the way. I believe totally that relationships are needed to advance your career. It's through the other people in your relationships that you move on, so to speak. I look back over my career, I have worked for 14 different employers. And during the time, all 12 out of the 14, excuse me, 12 out of the 14 positions I had were as a result of networking. The first one was a result of being recruited on campus. Right? The keys to success, I always talk about my ABCs, that you always need to be connected to people you already have relationships with, and you should be connecting to new people all the time to build the new relationships that you could have for the future, for the current day, and who could help you in your career. The other part is ABP, to always be positive and prepared. Look, during job search, or even every day, you have your ups and downs. Okay, it's common, especially when you're in transition. You could have some great highs, where you're really getting close, and then you get the word, well, you came in second or third. They never tell you third, they generally say second, etc. Okay, and then you really come down. But you got to stay positive, because no one wants to hear a whiner, so to speak. They don't want to be around depressed people. And what you also want to do is be prepared, because opportunities come about every day. Every day there's another opportunity.
Look at this thing. Stop. Sit down.
Yes. Okay. And these are the two most important words that you should carry with you. It depends. Simple words, but they have great meaning. You know, opportunities that come about, they're generally unique in different ways. And as a result of it, you have to adjust your strategies all the time to meet these unique situations. And I mean, there's not really, I'll call it a cookie cutter on how you find your positions. You really have to think, though, because they are unique just as you are. And you have to really think strategically in going through this, so that you put yourself out in the forefront. What makes you different? What makes you unique? What makes you valuable? What does the person on the other side of the conversation find in you that will make them increase, quote, their value? Let's talk about network for a sec. The word itself. What is networking? And this is really what the definition is when you look at it. Networking, it's an exchange of information, among people, and it's usually in an informal social situation, and it helps you develop professional and social contacts. Notice, in an informal social setting, okay? A lot of people think that, networking is just in the job, your job search. It's not, it's all the time. And when you network, the item that makes it the easiest thing to network with other people is to find something that's in common. When you find something in common with another individual, it just brings you closer pretty quickly. And that could be different things. It could be, that you worked at the same company. It could be that, your children play on the same team in school. It could be that you both have animals that if you have a dog, that you go to, the dog, you do a dog walking session. You see other people, you take them to the park, you see different individuals, different things to talk about. Could be baseball teams, could be like the Red Sox, things like that. couple of Red Sox fans here today, have things in common, but find something in common. And that really helps in your networking. To me, networking, the word, equates to relationship building. That's what it's all about. Is that through discussions with individuals, through meeting with different individuals, you get to build a relationship with them. And the relationship lasts as long as you work on it. And how do we build these relationships? Well, the reason we do it makes us feel good when we have other people that we could count on, we could talk to. Okay. The relationships can open doors to other people and other opportunities for us. We build relationships to get what I consider as air. Okay. And the air is very simple. You talk to people, you build relationships to get advice from others. You also get information on what, they're hearing, what's going on, okay, if they know certain things. And what you also look for is that the relationship can refer you to other people or to other opportunities. So if you want to group it all together, we all are seeking air. That's what helps us breathe, helps us advance our career. In addition, the relationships, they provide for us a support system. If you're feeling down, they can bring you back up. They can make you positive again. They could help you in different areas, okay, in different things. So relationships are really, really important as part of your life. It's part of your support system. And really what it does, these relationships set the stage for future assistance. They might not be able to help you today, but the more you have relationships, the longer they last, the more there's future opportunities for assistance. Who are our relationships? Well, there's lots of people. First of all, it's our family and our relatives. And as we always say, you could, pick your friends, can't pick your relatives. But many times we really don't develop a close relationship with our family and our relatives. And you'd be surprised, who your relatives know. Who are their relationships? There's your friends, your current and your past friends, your current and your past colleagues, it's your school classmates. And, most people think about college alumni, but it's also earlier in life. Elementary school, high school, college. I know, for instance, I'll take my son, for instance. My son lives down in North Carolina right now. And when he went to elementary school, he had a group of friends. And 6 of them used to play together all the time. Well, once a year, and they're spread out throughout the country, once a year, all 6 of them get together in different locations in the United States. And they get together for about a week, okay? And as a result of it, they're pretty close-knit and they help each other on a regular basis. All right, so, you could even start in elementary school. You have your business customers and vendors, especially vendors. If you worked at different places and you're close with your vendor, okay, and you're in transition, by speaking to vendors, they have a vested interest in helping you, because if you dealt with them before, they want to help you find another position so that you could do business with them again. So, take advantage of that. You have your in transition contacts, okay? what happens, this is really a common bond because you're all going through the same situation. You all have your same ups and downs, okay? And there's things to talk about. There's recruiters, your neighbors, members of your religious organization and your volunteer groups. And really what it is, it's people who you deal with every day. Every day. People at the cleaners, the mailman, the pharmacist, the grocer, okay, the people who cut your hair, things like that. These are the people who, when you get to know and you become friendly with them and you build these relationships, they have their eyes and ears open too when you start talking to them. There's a story that I have when I was working in the city, down on Broadway, in the lobby of the office where I worked, they had a shoe shine stand. In the olden days, people used to come to work, and I mean, they had 6, 7, 8 chairs in one area of the lobby, and people would come and get their shoes shined. Well, one of the individuals in one of the companies in the building used to get his shoes shined on a fairly regular basis. He was a salesman, and he was laid off from his company. And on his way out the door, he stopped off to say goodbye to one of the individuals who used to polish his shoes all the time. Told him that this is probably going to be the last time. And the individual asked why. And the sales guy told him, no longer has his position here, et cetera, et cetera. And the boot black said to him, do you have a resume? If you can, send it to me or bring it to me. Maybe I could help you out. And a couple of days later, the sales guy came back in, gave it to the guy who shined his shoes, and was like, you think you'd be able to help me? Oh, yeah. We'll see what we could do. And sure enough, the individual who was shining shoes, talking to other people who he shined shoes for, mentioned the salesman's name and had his resume, showed it to the guy as he polished his shoes. And the guy reached out, ended up hiring that guy. So you never know where it's going to come from. So just think about it. You can build relationships with everybody, anybody, and it can really help you. What I suggest you do, if you haven't already, make a list of all the people you know or knew. You could start with your resume, take a look at your companies, close your eyes, think about who you worked with. And you might say, well, I haven't worked with this person 20 years. How am I going to contact them? Well, as we all know, in today's environment, you can find people LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, all different areas. Just contact that person. And you might say, well, I haven't spoken to this person 20 years. What do I do? And all you have to do is say, I was thinking about you. What's going on with you? And that could start a conversation and rebuild the relationship. The types of relationships we build, first of all, remember, it just seems that relationships are built through networks. And these are the different types of networks that generally we have. We have our personal network, which is our family and friends. You have your in transition network. These are the people who you met during the time that you've been in transition. You have your business network, people who you've worked with, worked for, interacted with in business. And then you have what I consider your combined network, where you can have people in transition who then become part of your personal network. You can have people in business who you work with, who then can become part of your personal network. And all these 3 networks over here they could overlap in different areas and they become part of your combined network. So think about it. Take a look at your resume. Think who you work with. And also, put your resume aside and just think of the people that you've met over the years. Make a list and contact them. Okay. How do we build these networks? Well, just remember this. In networking, building relationships, part of the word networking, if we parse it, you have to really work at it. It doesn't just happen. Okay? You have to spend time networking, time and effort. All right? And in doing it, I've always said, although it's important to know a lot of people, and it is, it's a numbers game. All right. But although you might know a lot of people, the important part of it is to know people who know you. Because if they know you, they have their ears and eyes open. If they hear things, leads, opportunity, people that you should be meeting with, they'll let you know. You cannot do it all by yourself. So the more people you have out there with their eyes and ears open, okay, they could come back to you with leads, referrals, information. Okay, think about that. So in working on your network, on building these relationships, it's what I call the Johnny Appleseed approach. Johnny Appleseed threw a lot of seeds out there, and it took a while for these trees to grow. So in as much as that, he spent some time doing this, just remember on these relationships, it does take time. It's not an instant that you'll have the relationship. It might take a few meetings to get to know people and for them to get to know you. So be patient, but work at it. Okay? Spend time, spend the effort. What you want to do, as I mentioned earlier, is that you want to find something in common with your relationship. It could be other people. It could be places that you've traveled, places where you live, companies where you've worked at. Okay, it could be lots of things. Some of the other things you're talking about could be some of the animals. It could be some of the hobbies that you might have. Okay, it could be some of music groups that you like in common. Things like that. But it makes it easier to have a conversation and to start building a relationship when you find something in common. And to do that, especially if you're meeting somebody for the first time, what's important, you could gather what I call the information intelligence piece of it. You find information about people before you meet them. You could do that through Google, through LinkedIn, or through other people by talking to other people. Do you know so-and-so? Could you tell me things about that person? I relate to a story where I went to a networking group meeting at Cipriani's in the city. I was invited by one of my friends who was a recruiter. There were 600 people there. And I said, well, how are you going to network with 600 people if you don't know any of them? And I asked my friend, I said, Rich, do you have a list of who's going to be there? He said, oh yeah, I have it, and it's by table. I said, great, could you show it to me? And he shared it with me. And there were like 10 people at a table. I started looking at it. I looked at the people who would be at our table. I did some Google searches. I did some reviews on LinkedIn to try to find some information about people. I looked at the other tables and saw people who I might want to network with, and I did some research on them. And then when I finally got to the meeting, I spent a lot of time just working the room, as I call it, to talk to a lot of people, to meet a lot of people. And I had a lot of information about them. So I had, some things to start conversations. When we all sat down for dinner at our table, we started going around the table, introduce yourself, your quick little elevator pitch. And to my left, the second person to my left on this round table was an individual who was a recruiter. And my research on her was that, the company she worked for, the level that her recruiting business was all about, and where she went to college. And I saw that she went to college where I went to college. And so we're going around making these introductions and talking. And after we finished, they started serving the salad, etc. And I turned to the woman and I said, Susan, it's pretty interesting in your position. How did you end up where you are? Okay. Was it anything you took classes like that, or what did you do? And she says, well, when I was in college, I took some psychology courses and I took some other courses relating to relationships, etc. And I said, that's pretty interesting. Where'd you go to college? And she told me, to which I said, really? I went there too. And she said, you did? I said, oh yeah. Did you have so-and-so as an instructor? Oh yeah, I went. Did you go to this place on campus? Yes. Well, after that, I called her. Next day, we had some further conversations, and we built a good relationship. I was able to help her in her recruiting efforts. She was able to help me in my needs of finding different people. To this day, she didn't know that I did all that research on her, but that really helped develop the relationship. What you really need to do is earn a person's trust, confidence, and respect. When they have that, they want to get to know more about you. And as I've always said, when it comes to networking, what you want to do, you want to help other people. Okay, you really want to be a giver. It's like opening a bank account. You go to the bank, you open up an account. The first thing that you have to do in opening an account, you have to put a deposit in there. That's your first effort. And what you want to do in your deposit in networking is help others. It really helps in the development of your network and your relationships and helps things grow. And the more you do it, the better you're going to be at it. It's very simple. Practice makes perfect. The one thing that is a killer when you start doing your networking, it's that hi, good to know you. Okay, do you have 3 people or 4 people you could recommend who I could contact? When you start doing that initially, the ask, okay, you got to develop the relationship before you can get the ask. Keep that in mind. Where can we develop these relationships? Well, it's pretty easy. It's family functions, volunteer groups, networking groups. And to do find out different networking groups, you can go to mynetworkingcentral.com, which lists a whole bunch of networking groups, when they meet, okay, where they are, virtual, live, etc. It also connects with the speakers at these different networking groups. Also, Adrian over here, Adrian publishes her listing of the meetings every week, and she provides a great service to the community. That's another place where you can find out more about the different networking groups and the speakers. You have Google searches for people or groups. You can do that at seminars. You know, when you go to the seminars, when we come back into live meetings, you know, the first thing when you go and you grab a cup of coffee and the people around the coffee table, you know, start a conversation. If the seminar is pretty small, they'll have some time, you know, for introductions. If it's small enough, get to meet people. You can go to charitable events and galas, okay? You're there for the same mission, so to speak, and that's something in common. You got your family sports events, you know, soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever you want to have, lacrosse for the kids. The Chamber of Commerce. How many have been to the Chamber of Commerce? Okay. Few. You know, the Chamber of Commerce is really a nice place to develop relationships, because what happens, generally companies that are coming into the area want to register with the Chamber of Commerce, and at the same time, when people start leaving the area, the Chamber of Commerce knows about it, okay? So they can provide a lot of information about companies coming into the area, companies leaving the area. You got your alumni groups, you know, generally your colleges, and they're looking to help you nowadays. Okay, they try to facilitate more things, you know, in the hope that once you have a position, you won't forget them, and, you know, help them in their fundraising. You got industry and professional associations. You have your social networking sites, which we all know about: LinkedIn, Facebook, meetup groups, etc. The one thing that, you know, I suggest you do in a lot of these is not only just become members, but be active in it. You know, comment when there's social media posts, write articles if you want, write a blog, post it, or just, you know, watch what's going on, what other people are saying, and comment on it. And don't just, you know, click like it. You know, that doesn't do too much. Write something. Write something about it so that people will start recognizing you as a thinker and a person who adds to the community. And these are the people they want, you know, people want to join you when they see that you are active. Okay. And what you could do, you could follow people or companies on the different sites. Every opportunity, every day, you meet and develop relationships. The cleaners, as I said, the hair salon, etc. You meet people every day.
Excuse me, Marty.
Yes.
Yes, there's a question in chat from Valerie, and her question is, do you have any tricks on remembering key or common information about people so you can start a conversation?
Yes. Okay. Valerie, it's great to see you today. Hopefully you're feeling great. Number one, you know, there's a way to train your mind to have, let's say, a file cabinet within your mind on how you keep these facts, so to speak. There's also where you could write down on little index cards on different people, certain little facts about them. And then what I do is that, you know, before I go to meetings, I try to get a list on who's going to be at the meeting, and then go through my cards, my mind, and think about who I'm going to meet and what's new, what I could talk about. There's a whole approach on attending these live meetings, meeting people, which is a whole other seminar, so to speak, or webinar I could talk about. But I have this ability, number one, that I think I inherited from my mother, in that to be able to file these in one's mind. What if you haven't heard of Matt Gorky? Goerke. Matt's in the area here in New Jersey. Matt is really a memory expert, and he does a lot of seminars. He talks at many groups. And if you could, attend one of his sessions, he has a way to train your mind to remember things about different people. And he puts on a real good show, but it's really helpful. He also has I guess a book that you could, purchase. I forget how much it is, but really will help you train your mind to remember things about people.
He calls that the memory switch, I think.
Yeah, something like that, Dave, you got it. And when you started going through it and you go through a session with Matt, just remember the trees, okay, and bowling pins. It'll help you as you go through it, okay? Hopefully that answered your question, Valerie. How should we?
May I chime in for a second?
Can you
Sure.
spell his last name again?
Matthew?
It's in chat.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, tell my I mentioned him in the seminar. Okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
Marty, I want to mention one of the important things is when networking, do your homework. Don't just go in there and expect things to happen. Plan it. You make it happen. Example, today at lunchtime, I'm meeting with an individual I know for years, and I know he is a professor at NYU. So yesterday, I spent some time finding out about specifics. What is he teaching about? So we have a good topic to start our conversation today. So you need to do planning, preparing ahead of time, and that will be very fruitful.
Totally agree, Alex. Totally agree. Don't just show up, okay? What you want to do when you go into a meeting, have an objective of what you want to accomplish, okay? Do the research on the people who you want to connect with at these meetings, and it becomes a very productive meeting once you're there, okay? How should we approach these people in your relationship? Just remember this, okay? In networking, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's always about them. They are the important people in these meetings. And what you want to do, you want to make people what I call winners. And what I mean by that, when you're going to ask someone to do something for you or to, refer you to people, you want to ask them something that they are capable of doing. If you ask people, well, I'm in transition, help me find a job, that's not going to go over too well. Number one, it's very broad. And number two, they don't really have the time to be able to help you find a job necessarily, unless it's a career coach. But what you want to do, you could ask them, I see that, one of your relationships is Joe Smith. And Joe is an expert in this industry. I'd really like to be able to have a chat with Joe. Is it possible to make an introduction for me to Joe? Now that your person could do. And it's easy for them to do it. And doing it, it's helped you, but also it's helped them because they feel they were able to help you. It gives them a good feeling that they're a winner too. That's what you want to do. Ask people how you can help them. This is being a giver. Okay, what you want to do is help them in whatever they want to do. See if you could do that. Always be positive. People don't want to hear about your problems. Don't be negative. Okay. Smile and relax. Okay. People don't bite. We used to be able to shake hands. You shake hands, you finish, you still have 5 fingers. Okay, nobody's taking anything from you. Just, be yourself. Just relax and have a good time. What you want to do though is really be considerate of the relationship's availability. And what I mean by that, sometimes, during the day to try to contact the person, that's not the best time because they have work to do. You can contact them before work starts or night, maybe on the weekends, but be cognizant, that they have responsibilities that they have to do and their time is limited. And so as a result of it, try to catch them in the times that will not disrupt their daily routine, so to speak. And avoid what I consider as the cancer syndrome. And what I mean by that, when you approach people, say, look, I'm out of a job. I'm unemployed. Can you help me find a new job? The first thing that'll happen, especially if you're talking to your neighbors, as soon as you indicate that, you're looking to find a job, you're unemployed, and you need their help, well, they get in their mind, this might happen to me. And as a result of it, they start drawing back the back step. You have to be tactful in the ask that you have for people. You have to ask it in a certain way, which will encourage them to help you. Okay. These are some of the things you want to do. And also what you want to do, you want to let people know that you're looking for other opportunities. Okay, don't keep it a secret. Okay, let them know, but do it in a tactful manner. Deliver what I consider your tailored elevator pitch. What you want to do is make sure that in your pitch, you're delivering it to people who will understand what you are looking for. And it varies. Okay. You could have a pitch that when you talk and use different words, for instance, if you're in a professional organization, let's say it's an IT group, well, there's a certain language that IT people talk about. They know exactly what you're talking about when you use certain words, certain concepts. When you talk to people who are not IT people and you use the same pitch, they're going to look at you like deer in the headlights. So what you want to do is that you want to change your pitch more to generalize it more so they understand what you're looking for. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's like your resume. Each resume should be tailored to the job specs, to what the people need. All right. And remember, this is a telephone game, so to speak. When you start talking with people, one person talks to another person, talks to another person, talks to another person. And during this whole period, what you initially told the first person gets filtered by the next person and the next person and the next person. And so you want to give a pitch that really reduces the amount that could be filtered in this telephone game when people are talking to each other. Okay. And when you are asking for help, make sure your ask is clear and it's concise. Okay. And what you want to do is that, you want to let people know precisely what you are looking for and how they can help you. And this is all in your message. We'll talk in a second. And what you want to do is really help guide people in the way they could help you. Don't leave it up to them. Okay. Try to tell them, well, I could help you do this, but could you, in this manner, introduce me to so-and-so? Or, if you want, I could, provide you with information as to what I'm looking for so you could, communicate to the individual that would help in the referral or, setting up a meeting. The elevator pitch, all right, first of all, we use the elevator pitch to introduce ourselves in many different opportunities, many different situations. It is not just when you're looking for a job. And sometimes we put this big thing, well, I got to give an elevator pitch. Well, we do it every day when we introduce ourselves to people, okay? And you want to do it in a manner that I say, these are the different pieces in your initial elevator pitch. And it's very simple. It's what I consider the 3 W's and the 4 C's. And I like to keep it under 90 seconds because under 90 seconds, you are going to minimize the amount of filtration that goes on when people talk to other people. And your 3 W's are, number one, who you are, okay, what you do, and why you do it. Okay, now, what you do is not your title. Many companies have the same title, but you have different responsibilities, different duties. So you want to say things that are specific as to what you do. And the why, well, that's really a value statement where you put in the mind of the listener things that you have accomplished that have added value to the people who you dealt with. Be it your company increases value, where if you can quantify it, great, dollars, numbers, percentages, you talk about efficiencies, but you want to show that you've accomplished certain things, that there's a value in working with you. And the 4 C's is that you want to make it clear as to what you do. Don't cloud it. You want to make it concise. I generally say under 60 seconds, but 90 seconds is still good. You want to make it compelling or interesting. Why people want to hear what you have to say, what excites them in listening to you. And you want to make it consistent. Now, when I say the word consistent, I do not mean that you're repeating the same message over and over. Okay, you don't want to do that because once you start getting to a point where like you're on autopilot, your pitch loses some of its pizzazz, so to speak. What you want to have when you talk about consistency is that it's the same theme. You could use different words, but it's the same type of role or theme that you want to get across. And that's what you want to do when it comes to consistency. Okay. And if you're looking for a job and using your elevator pitch for a job, what you also want to do is the people you're talking with, and this isn't generally in the first meeting, but you want to be able to share the job specs with your contacts so they could see why you are good, why you'd be a good fit for the role. Okay. It helps them when they want to connect you with other people. Okay. It gives them an idea as to who in their network, who is their relationships, who could help you in this type of job spec. Okay. So keep that in mind. Your elevator pitches, and they're multiple. Okay. Just remember, if you're talking to people within your industry or your profession, use the words that they understand. If it's to other people, generalize it so they'll understand what you do, but don't use the terms necessarily that you use on people in your profession. Now, once you have these relationships, and this is, you want to maintain them, because many people, what happens, once they have a relationship and they land the position, they've developed this relationship during their in transition process, but generally as soon as they land, okay, they bury their head in their job and their relationships started falling by the wayside because they don't communicate with these individuals. And it's come back to my ABC, to always be connecting and connected. And in doing that, to maintain your relationships, there's certain things you should be doing. Doesn't take a lot of effort, but you should be doing it. In my opinion, even when you land the position, you should spend anywhere from 5 to 10 to maybe 20% of your time networking, right? And just remember, if you do not do that, you're out of sight and you're out of mind. So you want to maintain that relationship. You want to follow up with people on a consistent basis. You can do that by calling them, making phone calls, saying hello, sending birthday cards or holiday cards, sending congratulatory cards. If you see someone, okay, who's now had a promotion, just send them a quick note. Okay, you don't have to really, write a thesis on this. Make it short and sweet, but make it so that they understand you're caring about them, you're thinking about them. You could send them articles of interest that if they follow certain things, certain items that are really interest to them, and you come across an article, send it to them. All you have to do is attach it. Look, I came across this article. I thought you might be interested in it, so take a look at it. And if you have time, let's chat. Simple as that. And what you want to do, you want to try to have meetings with people in your network. The good old coffee meetings, I call it. And you could do that, live, which is my preference. And we're starting to come out of COVID, hopefully. And hopefully we'll have more and more live meetings. But if not virtual, you still could network virtually. You still could have that morning cup of coffee with people. So do it. Use the technology and don't feel that, well, I can't meet with a person, physically, so I really can't meet with them. That's not the case at all. But now just think about it as you go through these relationships, as I mentioned before, with the relationships, they could help you today, maybe, or, possibly in the future. And different ways they could help you. They can provide introductions to other people, the POIs, the people of interest. These are the movers and shakers. These are the decision makers at different companies. And your relationships can make those introductions to those people for you. They could provide advice and information to us. We're coming back to, they're providing air to us. They provide information regarding job strategies. Talk to people if you're in transition. This is what I'm thinking about doing. What's your thought about it? It's a pretty good idea. You want to send these type of letters, but looking at your letter, maybe you want to tweak it a little this way, or who are you sending these letters to? Well, did you think about sending it to these other people so they could help you in your job strategy? They provide, as I said, a support system to us, especially when we're down. Okay, you got beat up. You had 3 interviews this week. You got down on Friday. You got turned down on all 3. You're not going to feel too good. Give a person a call. Listen, I'm having a bad day. Okay, let's go out. Let's have some coffee. Let's talk. Okay, they provide a support system for you. Utilize it. Okay, and they can recommend to other people they know you. Okay, and talking to John, I'm saying, John, I need somebody. I need a controller. Would you know anybody controller? Well, Marty, I know this guy. In one of my networking groups. You might want to talk to Jim. I understand, he does pretty well. He, as a controller, he might be able to help you. So I get a connection that way. Talk about leads. People, your relationships might know, my friend John, friend John's an operation guy, and he worked with me in my commercial laundry, and he was looking for an operations position. And we were chatting, and he told me where he is on his job search. A couple of days later, I came across a lead for an operations individual, not in a commercial laundry, but in a food distribution company. And I called him up. I said, John, here's the lead. You might want to check into this. The skill sets are basically the same in the operations you need. The industry might be different, but give it a call. And he did. And the company hired him. And he's working there now down in South Jersey. Okay. So you never know what's going to happen. Your relationships can really give you, the criticism or the objective criticism on certain things that, other people won't tell you about. Marty, you go to these interviews from what I could see, okay? You really got to, dress up. The clothing you have it's not professional for what you're looking for. Maybe you should, go out and get yourself a new suit, or something of that nature. Or, I've noticed when we speak together, okay, you have a tendency to tilt your head to the side. Why don't you try to straighten up? Okay, it will help you professionally look the part. These are some of the things that your relationships could tell you that other people will not. And it'll help you think out of the box. And that's really important. They could give you other ideas, other strategies that you're not thinking about. Okay. The more relationships that you talk with, you could get some further, information and other suggestions. So think about that. And they really, at the same time, could help us focus. Marty, you're looking for this type of position here and this type of position there and that type there. Look, I know you, and this is what you're really good at. Why don't you just, stay within these boundaries and look only at these type of companies? So they really help you focus. Okay. Types of introductions they could provide. They could arrange physical introductions where the three of you might go out for coffee together. They can make telephone calls for you to help introduce people to you via the phone. Request other people to meet with you. Hey, Brian, I know that, you have a lot of connections. I have a friend, Marty, and, he's in search right now. He could really use your advice. Do me a favor. Could you give him a call and just talk to him? He's a great guy. You'll find out more about him. Maybe you could help him, maybe not, but just talk to him. They could have relationships help you. They can make LinkedIn introductions for us. They can send letters or emails to people for us. These introductions, especially to the people of influence, okay, can really help. They could send, notes, or they can make calls to some of the hiring managers that they might know, industry experts they might know, company executives, okay, to different people who are different networkers too. Your relationships are really, really important, okay, and you should utilize them. Okay? But you have to develop them, and you have to nurture them, and you have to work on relationships. It doesn't just happen. As I said earlier, what I equate networking with is relationship building. Your relationships provide air and emotional support. And many times your elevator pitch should be used, many different ways, different people. Remember your ABCs. Always be connected to your network and reach out and connect to new people and bring them into your network. Always be positive and always be prepared. Opportunities come at any time. But if you're negative, people will shy away from you. People do not want to be around negative and depressed people. Get over it. Everyone lands. Just a matter of time, as long as you work at it. And remember, jobs are only temporary. Relationships are permanent. Now, building relationships, it's really a journey. It takes time. As I said, Johnny Appleseed. But you know what? When you start meeting new people and you build these relationships, it really feels good. You can have a lot of fun. You can enjoy it. Just remember, this is a life process. Okay, building relationships. It happens from the time that you start to meet other people when you were, really, really young. Okay, that's when we started networking. If you look at it, you really started when you were in kindergarten and maybe even preschool, when you got to meet other people, other kids. Okay, you got to play with them, you got to talk to them, etc. And then over the years, what has happened, the barriers have come up, okay, to really stifle the building of relationships. So get over it. Take those walls down and meet other people all the time. Just remember, by building relationships, you really could learn a lot of it. You gather a lot of information, learn a lot of things. In doing it, experiment as you go through this, building your relationships. And most important, enjoy it. There's a lot of fun in it, in meeting different people. They really could help you. If I could help you in any way, here's my contact information. I've helped a lot of people in my lifetime. I enjoy it. It gives me a lot of satisfaction knowing that I've helped a lot of people. Let me help you. Okay, this is how you could contact me. I know a lot of you are, connected with me. Let's have a chat. Okay. That's it, everybody. Any questions? Any questions? Is anybody still awake? Let's
Yeah.
check.
I'm awake, Marty, and just
Okay,
waiting for
just
any
one
questions. But yeah, folks, this is an opportunity while we've got Marty with us. This presentation I found really spectacular for a couple of reasons, Marty, because you didn't just explain to us why networking is important. And I think a lot of people have always understood networking is important, but you gave us some real good pointers for how to do it, how to get started, and to show us that it's not the big scary monster that some people may think it is. So I really appreciated this program, or I guess almost anyone who not only tells us what to do, but how to do it, not just why to do it. So thank you for that.
You're quite welcome, David. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Marty, your presentation triggered something in my mind. You remember Franklin Covey? He had the saying, start with the end in mind. So we need to focus on what is the objective. The objective is to get a job. So now let's focus on how people get job. I mean, what is the hiring process? Or what is the source, rather, of hiring? 40% of people get hired. It's called internal mobility. John, who is a vice president at Division A, is moving to Division B. You have absolutely no chance to get that position. He's internal in the company. 40%, that's a very big number. Another 20% is coming from the company's website. This is great. 20% is a significant number. However, guess what? You apply, another 250 people apply for the same thing. So the competition is just fierce. Your chances getting an interview are not so very good. Another 20% is what's called other, and other includes job fairs or temp to hire. You know, you're a big vice president, you don't go to job fairs. And under this other comes campus recruiting. I don't know if you remember when I went to the university, you know, at the end of the school year, companies came to recruit. Again, this is all capped in the 20%. The last 20% is called referral. This is the most important part of the process. Yeah, this is where people have a chance through referral. That's what you spent an hour talking about, and this is where people should take advantage of. And nowadays, to get even narrower, nowadays, if you are not mastering LinkedIn, you live on the moon. If you are looking for a job, LinkedIn is where you should spend your time, and you need to understand what you need to do on LinkedIn. And I will show you guys what I'm studying right now. And David, I'm going to ask you a question. David, do you know where I got this book?
Yes, Alex, I absolutely do. Probably the same place I got the book.
The question is, do you have it autographed? That's the big question, Alex.
You know,
Yeah, Alex, I'll autograph the book. I didn't write it, but you know, Marty's right. You should have an autograph. I'll give you my autograph.
No, it's amazing. You know, this is my eighth or ninth book that I'm reading about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the marketplace. If you don't understand LinkedIn and what you need to do on LinkedIn very, very often, you probably will be in transition for a very, very long time. Ken Lang, do you know anything about LinkedIn? You're familiar with that term?
I've heard a little bit about it, actually. You know, cool place to be and hang out. Nice to see so many people here. But I think the mistake people make is that LinkedIn is not going to get you a job. It's building relationships, which may eventually get you closer to that job. And that's the mistake just about everyone makes.
You know, it always comes down to relationships. All right, as Ken mentioned. And, you know, why do people hire you? What makes you, you know, if you have 10 candidates, you know, and you're all generally, your background's the same, but the other people may have more skills than you do. They may, okay, technical skills. However, what's going to be the decisive thing that people will do to hire the one person? And almost always, the tipping point of that is likability. Why they like you. And like you comes out of relationship building. Even when you're on your interviews, you get it so that people like working with you, or you know, would like to work with you. And you know, that also comes from influence, where you know, people talk to other people, you know, when they hire you. Everyone has a reputation out there. Okay, a lot of people know a lot of people, especially now with LinkedIn. It just goes farther and farther out there. So what you may not understand, but this is what's happening. Before companies bring you in, okay, they're checking on you. They're already talking to different people you might be connected. Is this a person I should be speaking with? What's this person, you know, what's the part in this person that really will be able to help me? And once again, it's building these relationships that you need to advance your career. And it's not only when you're in transition, maintain these relationships. I mean, I learned real early in my career. I was very, very fortunate in that I worked for some really powerful people. Okay. I'm not going to say they were smart people. I'm just going to tell you they were very powerful people. And I looked at them and I said, how did these people get to where they are? And when you started looking at it, it's because they built their relationships. Okay. And when you see that, then you notice what makes it all work is that people want to be around people they like. Okay. And what happens is that there's generally a situation as people, these named people who are up there, what are they going to do about me? I mean, how are they going to treat me? This is a famous person, etc. You have to understand how people got to that position. And it's generally through networking and building relationships with people. And when you see things like that, that's when the importance of networking really fits into play. So likability is the tipping point to the success that you want.
Marty, I think likability is true, but equally important, if not more important, is trust. You may like someone, but if you don't trust that person, probably you shy away.
No, I agree with you, but that if you don't trust a person, generally don't like them, Alex. Okay, that's how you have to look at them. But I agree with you, and I said that before in the presentation. You got to get, earn respect and trust, etc. And that's what you have to do. But I remember.
I also think you have to trust yourself. I mean, people are so afraid about posting and what have I got to say and how can I be part of a conversation. Well, start engaging with people. I mean, I started on this platform. I was scared to death of posting. I was scared to death about what people are going to say about me. And, nothing's going to happen. My old saying is jump in the water is fun. And it's true. No one is going to second guess or question you. You just got to believe in yourself.
I remember
you also have the opportunity, if you're worried about what people may say about you, you have the opportunity to post what you say about you and to demonstrate what's important to you. And if you think about some of the news reports we heard a few years ago, Honda had the problem with their airbag. And if you believe the news, you were going to throw away your Honda and send it to the scrapyard because it was going to explode at the steering wheel and kill you. But Honda came out right away and took action and told people what they're doing. They're replacing the airbag, and it's not our brand of airbag, it's another brand. My wife's airbag got replaced fairly quickly. And so they controlled the message. So even if you're concerned that someone may write something in LinkedIn or anywhere in social media, you get to control your message, what's important to you professionally, personally, and so forth.
For those who know Ken Lang here, who's a rock star on LinkedIn, all right, and in social media. If you remember when you first met Ken thing, when he started his presentation, I just want you to know I'm an introvert. Now, you look at this guy over here and you say, this guy's an introvert? Okay. Not at all, okay? He's out there now, he's done it, he's practiced it, he's perfected it, and he's really out there where people are coming to him. Hey, you're an expert on this, help me over here, do this. Believe in yourself. Everyone here is very, very talented. I know a lot of you. You're all very, very talented individuals. Okay. And I'd hire anybody here, okay, for the different things that I would have, because I know you, right? we have relationships. And that's what really drives business. Yes, you have to have some knowledge. You have to gain people's trust. But, you know, you got to build that relationship. And as I've said before, it's nice to know a lot of people, but it's much more important to know a lot of people who know you. And that's what the relationship's all about. So,
Marty, when you meet with people, you mentioned this. You need to know what to talk about. Well, you need to tell them your spiel. Neil, what is your spiel?
that's right.
Neil, unmute yourself and tell us what is your spiel.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Neil. This is my spiel. I'm a CPA, a controller, and a CFO. I help small to medium-sized companies become more profitable and reduce cost. My name is Neil Bonnier. That's my spiel.
Fantastic. Now, you also need to know how to talk about your background. Nancy, can you talk about your background?
I create them from either pictures of actual physical paintings that I've done, and sometimes just from a picture of something random that I morph into art.
As you can tell, I was playing about your background, what I see versus your professional background.
You know, Nancy is known for her backgrounds. I've been in different groups, and you know, people have said, you know, when talking about, you know, I talk about interviewing and, you know, online interviewing, etc. We talk about backgrounds, and people say, hey, you know, I came across this lady. She's like known as a background lady. She has all these crazy backgrounds. Really nice. I said, oh, you talk about Nancy. That's okay. So she has her reputation already. She's found her niche, but they're really nice backgrounds. They're a lot different. It makes her unique. Okay, these are the things you got to look at.
They say Nancy has a colorful background.
Marty, I have to confess, I didn't come to see you. I came here to see Nancy's background.
That's okay, Alex. When you make your presentation at the Bergen Korea Community Network that I have on the July 25th, I'll mention that. Okay.
Yeah. And Nancy's going to.
Nancy. I'll talk to your wife about that also. Don't worry about it, Alex.
It sounds like Alex, Nancy, it sounds like Alex needs a custom background with some of your inspiration.
I have.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I are both feeling blue, Alex.
And while you guys making jokes, I'm going to jump in and say networking works even when you're volunteering. So whether you're volunteering at the company you're with or outside of it, it can be really helpful. That's actually how I landed my current position, is because I was volunteering in the company and they saw that what I could do, and I was telling everybody, look, my contract is ending on, you know, in a couple months, so I'm trying to give you everything I have before I leave. And they was like, no, we can't have you leave, because they saw how well I was doing and what I could offer the company, and that's how I landed my position. So networking, volunteering, let people see what you can do. It'll take you far. And it was to the point that one of the people that I interviewed with, they said, I had a lot of phone calls about you. So they also advocated for me once I actually started interviewing for different positions.
My son was volunteering at the local PTA, and somebody knew him and said, might you be interested in the job? It's been now 3 months he's working at that company. And you know what? I always say I'm the happiest man in the state of New Jersey. He is the happiest man in the state of New Jersey. I'm number 2 now. Yeah. He's very happy with his job. So again, just out of volunteering. He was not looking. Somebody called him.
You know, folks, what we'll do is we're going to keep this session open. I'm going to turn the recording off just so, because we're having more of a casual conversation. But just as we wrap up the meeting, I want to just once again to Marty for continuing to be such a strong supporter, not just of the job seeker community and the networking community, but the Breakfast Club of New Jersey as well. So thank you so much for contributing your time.
My pleasure.
And
thank you, David.
you're very welcome, and thank you. And folks, also to let you know, next month we will be right back here. The Breakfast Club always meets on the second Saturday morning of the month, so it'll be Saturday, August 13th. And Janelle Rosino will be here, and she will be talking about Moneyball. She's a sports person. Moneyball, salary negotiation. It's going to be, you know, how to ask for what you want and make it clear so that they can get it to you. You want to make sure you don't leave any money on the table. So that's what Janelle is going to talk about next month, August 13th. So please plan and mark your calendar if you have the availability. And so until we get to see you at the Breakfast Club of New Jersey again, or maybe in person at some event, we'll simply say goodbye, have a good weekend. So thank you very much.